In this video, we'll consider evaluation technique for unemployment. Now, part of the CIE syllabus and assessment objectives is to be able to critically evaluate information, and how you do that for unemployment we're going to speak about next. The first thing to consider is the severity and magnitude of unemployment. The impact of unemployment depends upon its severity and magnitude. To illustrate, you can see the Great Depression represents a time of very severe unemployment. However, the unemployment arising from post-holiday employment reduction is a minimal issue to governments. So you should think of unemployment on a scale. And on that scale, you can have a very minimal amount of unemployment, which would be not very severe, versus something like this, the Great Depression, which you could consider much more severe. So when you're evaluating it, remember, not all unemployment is equal. Which leads me to my second point, which is the duration of it. So if unemployment persists, it is obviously a much more severe issue. It may require ongoing government intervention and spending. Shorter periods of unemployment have less of an impact on the economy. Third are causes. When you consider the causes of unemployment, some of them are more of an issue than others. For example, cyclical and structural unemployment tend to be considered a bigger issue for governments than frictional or seasonal. So the government is more concerned about those people out of work because of changes in the performance of the economy and changes in the nature of the economy and the jobs available. Whereas frictional and seasonal, I think even in a very well-performing economy, governments are not terribly worried about, right? And even in a poorly performing economy, frictional and seasonal are less of an issue than cyclical and structural. Fourth, you have to consider who's affected by it. Not all unemployment falls on everybody equally. And as you can see on this graph on the right, the college graduates in the United States tend to have a lower unemployment rate than do those without a high school diploma. And then if you look at high school graduates, they're a little bit better off. But the important thing to note is that unemployment doesn't affect them equally. So this can worsen, or unemployment can worsen inequality for those more prone to swings in the economy. And fifth is the trade-off between unemployment and inflation. So it's also important to evaluate this. If the economy is operating with significant spare capacity, the government can reduce unemployment without much inflationary pressure. However, if the economy is operating near its full employment level of output, then the risk of inflation is more of an issue. And you just need to think about the Keynesian long-run aggregate supply when considering this, or you can use this short-run Phillips curve to illustrate. So that brings me to the end of this video on evaluation technique for unemployment. If you have any questions, leave them below. Email me at enhancedtuition@gmail.com or tweet me at enhancedtuition. Remember, what I've showed you in this video is not an exhaustive list. There could be other ways you could evaluate unemployment. And please, please, please remember not to just write generic statements like the impact of unemployment depends upon how severe it is. Make sure you explain that statement, because examiners have been complaining about students just writing this depends upon its severity, or higher levels of unemployment are a bigger problem than lower levels of unemployment. That's common sense. Explain it a bit and tie it back to your question. All right, well, that's us done here, and I will see you in the next one.